Hello, my name is Cameron Sabet, and welcome to Cutting to the Case. Today we're joined by Mario Andretti. He's one of the most accomplished and versatile racing drivers in history. Born in Italy and arriving to the United States at 15, he became the 1978 Formula One world champion, 1969 Indianapolis 500 winner, 1967 Daytona 500 winner, and four-time IndyCar national champion. He remains the only driver ever to win the Formula One World Champion, Indianapolis 500, and Daytona 500, and the Associated Press named him Driver of the Century in 1999. Across a career spanning 5 decades, Andretti recorded 111 victories in virtually every major form of racing, from Formula One and Indy cars to NASCAR, sports cars, sprint cars, and dirt racing. At 86, he's also back at the center of Formula One as the director of the new Cadillac Formula One operation, which entered the championship this season. For Cutting to the Case, thank you so much for joining today.
My pleasure, Cameron. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And it's such an honor to be able to hear from you. As you know, Cutting to the Case is a show where we bring decades of insights and leadership and the career accomplishments, and we bring those insights to the next generation. And so I'm very curious how, you've watched motorsport go from an era where drivers routinely died to one where catastrophic injuries are far less common. What what did this approach teach you about your own mortality and the fragility of human life?
Well, here's the thing. When I started, that's what was there. You knew that the sport was dangerous. My ultimate, my idol, Alberto Ascari, was killed just a month before we came to the States, and that's the reason why when I started racing, actually at age 19, which at the time you had to be 21 to race professionally. I didn't dare tell my dad because he would have stopped it mainly because, fatherly love. I mean, he would have been concerned about the safety aspect of it, and which was certainly not part of it. So the sport, again, has evolved like you would expect, and for the better. We learned a lot of things. The sport technically is only 110 maybe years old when you think about how it started. Indianapolis basically started it all in the world. I don't think there was any other racing until that happened. And again, but it became more professional in the 20s and 30s. And it was in 1950 when it really became globally organized because of what was formed as the FIA, and then Formula One became a world championship, again. So it had to be organized to be able to evolve and have specific rules and so on and so forth. When I broke into the sport, I was still again, back in 1959, and going through the ranks myself. I mean, the fatalities were something that I guess had to be accepted. I remember one thing, I said this many times, that I never dwelled on the negative. However, at the beginning of every season, at the first drivers' meeting, you couldn't help but looking around and say, I wonder who's going to be here at the end of the season.
Hmm.
And usually three or four of us were missing.
Hmm.
And did I have a death wish? No. My wish was to actually do it no matter what. And I just pressed on regardless. I lost my closest friends. But my passion and pure love for doing what I was doing um, just superseded everything. And And I was fortunate that even I married quite young, and my wife again, she understood how important this was for me, and even though I felt that I had a responsibility, to my young family and so forth, she never made me feel guilty. Like, what if something happens to you, like it happened, say, to Billy Foster, and one of my closest friends, who, again, was killed, and he had a couple of beautiful girls, and so on and so forth. Anyway, that was the negative. But as you say, as time went on, the sport became more organized. The drivers began to have a voice, and we started. Just we organized just for that, actually, and that's when a lot of progress was being made uh, by having the sanctioning bodies, uh, just look at the safety aspect more vigorously.
Hmm.
And this, I think this movement pretty much started in, I'd say, in the late 70s, early 80s, when it started getting pretty serious, when the sport became more and more commercial. I always say, uh, when companies are spending millions of dollars to be involved in a sport, and enjoy the excitement that it provides. This company didn't want to go to funerals. They want to celebrate. So that aspect, was was something very important. And so anyway, the sport became very responsible. And today, let's go to today. We're enjoying probably the best times ever as far as the safety. And today's drivers have the best chance ever to retire on their own terms, which is huge.
Yes, yes. And it certainly is that, speed is much safer now. But I'm curious, back then, when you were going 200 miles an hour, what did fear actually feel like? I can only imagine that fear feels different now with all the safety systems and regulations. But back then, when you were going 200 miles an hour, did the fear disappear, or did you learn to function when you're afraid? How did you manage that?
Fear was not part of the equation. There's no way. There's no way that you could go in the race, bolt yourself into the race car and then think about, oh, am I going to survive this one? No way, no way. I mean, this would have been actually having that thought on your mind. It would make you more dangerous, because then you become, like. Uh, your thoughts are confusing, so you have to go in there with confidence and just, I'm going to win today, I'm going to be there. It's not so, as I told you clearly, I never ever dwelled on the negative aspect of it. If I would have done that, I mean, I could have not have existed for as many years as I did, and I didn't, at the age, relatively advanced age for being in the sport, I still didn't want to quit, But so, yeah, I was too driven, to be just influenced by that the safety aspect.
And that kind of fearlessness translates to a lot of other things outside of racing as well, which is just fascinating to think about. And I'm curious, how much are you actually consciously thinking when you're driving 200 miles an hour, or is your body just simply reacting to before your mind catches up?
Yeah, I mean, you have a job to do. I mean, the thing is to maximize the performance of the car, just minimize mistakes, because you're at the limit. And if you're not at the limit, somebody else is, So, if you're going to win races, if you're going to be successful and accomplish, your most ambitious goals, you're going to be taking advantage of every possibility, and that's where your mindset is. Just maximize it. And now, you're racing almost every week, so the point is sometimes you feel like you have some advantage. Sometimes you know that you're going to have to work a little bit harder, but you never lose, in my opinion, at least this is the way I operate, never felt that, you know what, I don't think, I've never analyzed the situation to the point of saying, talk myself out of it, like I have no chance today. No matter what, I felt that, maybe today I need to have my competitors have a little bit of bad luck, which might happen. But you always got to go. I always went in there with this positive feeling that this can be a good day no matter what. And I think, to be honest with you, to be able to exist and enjoy continuously enjoy what you're doing, always looking forward to the next event. You have to have that positive outlook, positive feeling going in.
Wow, I love this approach. And you know, when something bad happened to another driver, how did you get back into a race car afterward and convince your brain to keep pushing to the limit and keep this mentality?
Hey, trust me, it was not easy. I lost, like I said, closest friends, and I had to go. My the gentleman I mentioned, Billy Foster. It was a qualifying event when he was killed at Riverside, and I was the next one going out to qualify.
Hmm.
And it happened at Indianapolis. Another one, with one of the drivers were killed in a qualifying event. I had to be the next one to go out and see that big splatter on the wall and so on and so forth. Uh, did, but you had to just go, okay, this is my time to just go out there and get it done. And it's uh, I don't know how to really explain it, but I think it's you can overcome so many negatives, if you have the pure passion to just do something. Uh, I I had a sense of purpose, in my approach, and and that's really, that's what kept me going. That's what kept me fresh thinking. I just uh, I just refused dwelling on the negative. That's all there's to it.
Mhm.
And I don't know, some people can do that, some people can't. Um, I could do that, and I did that. And, again, realistically, look what happened to my brother. I mean, at the end of the very first season, determined his career, and then 10 years later, he had another accident that actually ended his career. And that could have been a big deterrent for me. But here's my brother on the sideline just pulling for me, never feeling like, making me feel, oh yeah, why me? Or like he was a victim. He said, just Mario, just go. You just do it for both of us and all that. You see what I mean? It just, you had to have that, otherwise you did not exist in the sport. That's all there's to it.
Yes.
Does it make sense? Maybe not to a lot of people.
It does. It does. And it sounds like you had a good amount of support as well,
Yes,
which
yes,
is
I
very helpful.
did that.
And did you ever have a moment in a race where you genuinely thought I might die here or
No, but let me tell you, I had like three events where I thought it could have been final. And then, like the last second, something, just happened better. And, I, I don't want to describe it, but it's for just a slight something happening. I got away with it, and I don't take it for granted. I know that I've been blessed for sure, but in as many races I was in my entire career, uh, believe me, I had close calls.
Hmm.
And like I said, there are three events that stand out that I thought, for that one split second, I thought this is it, but it
Hmm.
wasn't.
Wow. Wow. And do you remember the worst crash you've ever experienced physically? What did your body feel like in the seconds immediately afterward?
Everything happens so fast, that in that respect, that all you do is you just try to defend yourself the best way you know that something broke. I've had those, failures, and that's what put me in the hospital a couple of times.
Hmm.
And there were some were mistakes too. I paid the price for that too. But when things happen at the moment, uh, you really almost don't have time to think. All you do is just try it. Okay. And there's one time then I it seemed like a long time. The wing came off in a car. It was in Indianapolis actually, and on the back straightaway, and I was out of control, and it was for a long time. And the car that I was in was one of the Gurney Eagles. Notoriously, a lot of people, whenever there was a front end issue, a crash, there was a lot of uh, leg and foot injuries, and uh, and I had the time to pull my legs back as far as I could, and the whole front end was wiped out. So and I got away with it.
Hmm.
So like I said, there was one point where I had that moment to think and react to something that I know was happening to other people. And it didn't hurt that I'm not the tallest guy in the world, so that helped. But at the same time, if I wouldn't have really brought my feet back as much as I could, uh, I would have had probably wouldn't be able to walk today.
Wow. Wow. And so split second decisions that determine life or death. I mean,
Yeah.
those last minute defenses. Race car drivers operate at enormous heart rates and heat and vibration and G forces while making split second decisions. At your peak, what part of racing was the hardest on your body that spectators never understood?
Well, a lot has to do actually, even with ambient temperatures and so forth, and the characteristic of the track. I mean, the vehicle that you're in. I mean, some of the toughest races that I've had were physically. I mean, I was at the limit. Like it was in '67 at the Sebring 12 hours where a closed car and our air intakes, there was quite a bit of windy situation, so debris flying around, so forth, and paper things, and our intakes were blocked off, so we were not getting any airflow in the cockpit,
Hmm.
and both myself and my teammate Bruce McLaren, I mean, we were just physically spent, but we had to keep going. We wanted to race.
Wow.
I yeah, but I was in a motel. I was totally dehydrated for 3 days. I couldn't even go home.
Oh my goodness. And you and Bruce McLaren is
Yeah.
such an unbelievable team. I can't even fathom how insane that. I mean, you must have really spooked some other drivers with that. That's a pretty scary combination.
Yeah.
Um, so, how did it feel working with Bruce McLaren? How was he like?
Oh, I loved the man. We became really good friends. I learned a lot from him. It was relatively early in my career where I wanted to expand my activities into road racing, and we both were part of the Ford Le Mans program where there was a lot of testing and development. So um, I that's where I befriended him, and during testing and developing the cars for the Le Mans race, which Ford obviously you saw that even the film Ford versus Ferrari, they really wanted to win it, and of course we were part of that, and again but having the opportunity to do so many miles testing and alongside somebody there was Bruce was very technical driver. Um, he was probably not the fastest driver in the world, but he was really, really good at, and especially in slow corner. That's where I learned a lot from him. And so and we became, obviously good teammates and good friends. Um, but yeah, he meant a lot to me. And
Hmm. Wow. Yes, and you have lost a lot of good friends as well. You won the Formula One championship at Monza in 1978, but your teammate Ronnie Peterson suffered the crash that ultimately killed him that weekend. What's it like to achieve the greatest goal of your career while simultaneously losing someone beside you?
it was could have been, should have been the happiest day of my career, and I could not celebrate. Obviously, again, it was heart wrenching, no question. Especially as you say, when you're not just a teammate, but we're friends. The families were friends. My wife and his wife, the Barbara, and they had their kids. We had spent time. We used to spend time together, and then those are the moments that obviously stay with you forever. But uh, you know unfortunately, that was what was happening in those times, and it was out there.
Yes, yes. And you've spent your whole life pursuing speed, which almost sounds irrational from the outside. What's the feeling you're actually chasing inside the car?
The challenge,
The challenge.
the challenge. Just like uh, animal trainer. Like a wild animal trainer. Try to really understand how do I get the maximum out of thing. And it's like I said, it's something that to me it's inviting. It's just this, I know I can do it. It's and when you accomplish what you're after, it's so satisfying. The reward that you get from having a good day, winning, for instance, over your toughest competitors and so forth. It really is something that keeps you so fresh. Like I can't wait for the next challenge. Keeps you going. You just you win, and then you settle for nothing less in your own mind. And that's what you go for.
Hmm.
So it's again the sport. Is the tougher things are, the more rewarding they become when you can overcome the situation that you're confronted with.
Hmm. And at 86, when you look at younger drivers taking the same risks you once took, do you see racing differently than when you did at 25, or is it the same?
The human aspect is the same, trust me. And I always say, even when it comes to talents, yesterday's champions will be champions today, and vice versa.
Hmm.
Uh, it's just that the sport evolves technically and so on and so forth, but still, the driver's job uh, is to maximize what they're in, whatever the rules are, whatever the aspect of the machine that you're in, you still it's your job is to extract every ounce of performance that vehicle can give you, and again, the reward is the same. Trust me.
Hmm. Hmm. And do you think that the human body is the limiting factor in racing anymore now that you say these technological developments, or has the machine surpassed what our physiology was really designed to handle?
Human body is still paramount and still everything. I mean, it's how you can function under pressure. How can you function under so much demand, physical demand throughout the race, and only you can judge whether you left something on the table or not.
Hmm.
Maybe somebody else wants. So, and I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror every day and say, you know what? I didn't give up. I did my best, at least, that type of thing. Because you're challenging yourself as well, as I say. And there's a lot of things that maybe some other people will not notice, but you would know if you all of a sudden let up or left something on the table. And if you did that, man, let's not make that happen again, ever, type of thing. You
Hmm.
have to be your own judge.
And
And
about your own judge, these judgment calls come within milliseconds, whether to lift off a throttle or commit.
you know,
Can you actually train a human being to make better decisions under that kind of pressure, or is it innate?
well, I don't know how to explain it, to be honest with you, because it's something so personal. And like I always say, uh, you cannot teach somebody to really be fast in a race car. You can teach them to minimize mistakes, but you cannot teach them to really be fast. It's either in your belly or it's not. And whatever that is, I don't know how to really explain it, but it's right here and here. Like uh, there's got to be something within yourself that is driven. And then, as far as being able to polish up your talent, so on and so forth, yes, you could be, if there's somebody that is asking a question, what can I do? You can say, I think you can do this and that better, approach the corner, your apexes, or whatever. But as far as the ultimate, what makes you function, you either have it or you don't. That's all there's to it.
Hmm. And given that a lot of our audience are young physicians to be, a lot of my questions have centered around physiology and mortality. And, doctors also make, trauma surgeons make consequential decisions with incomplete information, little time, neurosurgeons. What did racing teach you about staying clear-headed when a mistake can have enormous consequences?
Well, here's the thing. It's uh, when, if you make a mistake, you have to own it to yourself. Like oh my goodness, uh, I would like to take that one back, and then, but you learn something. It's nobody's perfect. The human element is not perfect. But sometimes a mistake can teach you a lot. If you don't make mistakes, then you think, okay, I got this. No, I felt like, give you for instance, as long as I've been racing, I almost feel like I was learning something until the very last race of my career.
Wow.
You never, you keep an open mind, but you never feel like, you always figure, yeah, I can do something better. Just never try to feel, oh yeah, I got this. Blah blah blah. I don't need to know anything more. No, and then always look for somebody. Any given day, somebody's doing a better job than you are. I think sometimes you're following somebody. Oh yeah, oh you watch. Oh yeah, his approach, this and that. There's always something new that you can learn. Keep that open mind.
Wow. Wow. And about open minds and mentalities, I'm curious about this concept of fearlessness as well. Were the greatest drivers you raced against fearless, or were they simply better at understanding exactly which risks were worth taking?
Well, I wish I could read other people's minds, but I know that somewhere along the line, there has to be a lot of the same thinking, to be able to to exist in the game. And and again, there's always the other thing. I'll repeat myself. I always felt that there's somebody better than you out there, and I felt that if somebody's doing a better job that day, I better learn. I better see what they're doing, and what I need to improve on. That's you have that challenge, for yourself always, and keep that as a positive. Like how do I get better? Because somebody else is better than me. That's how I get better.
Hmm. And this idea of learning from others, what separated a driver who was genuinely brave from a driver who was just reckless in your mind?
Well, you could see that. You could see that clearly, that there's the drivers that you feel don't have much brains, that you know who they are. They're marked, you kind of watch yourself. Uh, there's some drivers, they're the champions usually you can trust them because they won't give an inch, but at the same time they won't do anything stupid, So that's something that you learn, as you go on. But you know who you can actually trust, wheel to wheel, uh, and others you can. And you don't have to give an inch and still feel safe at the time, with certain, and others, look out, just, so it's all part of the game. I mean,
Yes, yes. And you also raced during a period where safety improvements sometimes meant slowing cars down or changing traditions. Did drivers ever resist safety measures that looking back obviously changed lives?
no, well, as long as the challenges are equal for everyone, if the cars are heavier or whatever, it's heavy for everyone. As long as it's not an individual penalty, uh, obviously you accept that. I can't see any driver in their right mind rejecting a safety feature in a race car. But it has to be across the board. Like I said, if weight penalty, aerodynamic penalty, whatever, has to be something that everyone has to deal with equally.
Hmm. And after everything you've experienced, what do you understand about, I guess, living a good life that you couldn't possibly have understood when you first climbed into a race car?
Well, like I said, it's life, presents something new every day, and to some degree, but uh, I'm one that I'm a very optimistic person. I like to look at the bright side of things, and that's what makes me happy, every day. And I like a happy environment in my life also. And again, there are many challenges in life. Not everything is the way you like it to be. But at the same time, just don't get lost in the negatives. That's all there's to it.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think that basically work in my favor. I always looked at what the best end result would be. What makes you smile? What makes you? Let's work on that.
Yes, yes. And I'm curious now, we're moving forward into a new era of, American team. You've waited decades to see an American team like Cadillac enter Formula One. I'm curious what it felt like when you first saw that Cadillac on the F1 grid on the list.
Well, that is fine. Obviously, it was. It was not an easy situation, to make it all happen. But all the elements all of a sudden came together, and yeah, it was a lot of satisfaction to see the car on the grid in Australia, and looking like it belonged. Was well presented. The team did perfect job in my opinion. And I think they gain immediate respect from the paddock, and that that continues. I mean, it's a challenge every time, every day, and we have a new leader uh, going into the next race here in Zandvoort, and but a lot of things in that respect within the team are happening in a positive way. We have two great drivers with ample experience to be able to give the feedback necessary. We've been experiencing some real uh, unexplained issues, brake issues and whatever in the last couple of races, which is not acceptable. But again, you learn every day, uh, and going back to what you said about the satisfaction of having a team, the Cadillac, which is the first time ever that General Motors has been officially in Formula One. It's wonderful for this, great for the sport. It's great for the fact that the interest in Formula One has exploded, in the right way here in these United States, and having three Grand Prix. I think, like I said, there's a lot going for it. So uh, I think there's a lot to look forward to because it's a long-term commitment here, and happy to be a small part of it.
Uh, a small part, you're very humble here. Uh, you know what a championship winning Formula One team feels like from the inside. When you look at Cadillac today, what tells you whether this can eventually become a championship team?
I think the long-term commitment and the excitement, the positive excitement that I see within the team is the elements that you need to feel positive about what's going to be happening in the future.
Hmm. Hmm. And what can Cadillac specifically learn from the great teams you drove for, especially Lotus and Colin Chapman, that still applies almost 50 years later?
Well, Cadillac on the right now it's the engine part, the power unit part. That's what their objective is, their responsibility. So they know what they're doing. Trust me, they have good people there, and the team that they have put together, just to work on a Formula One project is something to be proud of.
And how involved are you personally when Cadillac leadership asks about, the legendary Mario Andretti, what they should do? What kinds of decisions are they actually asking you about?
Well, I'm not involved on a day to day, by choice. It's something that I'm primarily more interested in the driver's side of it. The element of total function of the team is not up to me. But if I'm asked for an opinion, I will give it, and that's where we are.
Sure. And what does Cadillac have to accomplish before you would consider its first season a success?
Get some points first, finishing in the points, and then start looking to win. I mean, ultimately, you have to have that as the objective. If you don't, winning is an objective, stay the hell home.
Yes, yes. And do you think an American driver ultimately needs to be in that Cadillac for this project to fully capture the American public's minds?
I think the objective has been from the beginning to try to have at least one American driver, and everything possible is being done to be able to accommodate and make that happen ultimately. So that's definitely an objective here with the team.
Hmm. And who is the most naturally gifted driver you ever raced against?
Oh my goodness, that's a tough one. I always every time I mention someone, I said, "Why didn't you mention so and so?" You know, and one of the actually really uh, gifted drivers that were not technically gifted, but actually car feel was Ronnie Peterson, my teammate in Formula One. Car control, he was really a master of that, and that's something that's quite talent, great feel for anyone. But you know, there's so many out there. There's so much great talent out there. I mean, and look at the champions. They're not champions because of just luck, because they know what they're
Mhm.
doing, and they're the envy of the competition. Believe me,
Wow. Wow. And, of Formula One and IndyCar and NASCAR and sports cars, which one required the most raw driving ability?
they all do, and
They
they're
all
all,
do.
trust me, they all do.
NASCAR,
No
the same
easy way,
as Formula One, essentially.
no easy way. Believe me, it's
Wow.
yeah.
And what's the greatest single lap you ever drove, even if no one else remembers it?
You know what? I qualifying was really, I can say, my specialty. I just love qualifying because that was the moment where you just really you do the lap that you cannot you in your own mind. I cannot do another one like that. That's and I can't tell you that I just did one like that, but uh, probably the first time that I was on pole at Indy qualifying. I mean, I left less than an inch to the wall in every corner and everything. And actually watching the film on that, I said, well, that's the way you do it. But, when you do it, you just, but coming in to me, just to see the smile and in your, in your team members, face and so forth is the biggest reward you could possibly have whenever you come in and you set a lap record, and I've had that happen a few times.
Wow, wow. And you won on road courses and ovals and dirt and in completely different cars. What could you do behind the wheel that other elite drivers couldn't?
It's just something that I was always fascinated by uh, doing something and trying something that was not really my total specialty. I'll give you, for instance, I only did a few stock car races, for instance, even USAC stock but just to win a race in something that's not your specialty, that to me gave me so much satisfaction, to be able to do that. I said, okay, I know what's going on there now,
Hmm.
and I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
Uh, I just I I love the sports prototype cars. I mean, there's always a lot of technical side there, and so on and so forth. And right from the beginning, I'm looking at cars that I even drove back in the late '70s that look modern today. So you can see that was an excitement to be part of that. So I just felt that it was quite a privilege to be able to sit in to some of the machines that I sat in, that were state of the art of the moment and all that. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Wow. And could you tell us a little bit about Colin Chapman? What was he actually like when no one else was around? What do you understand? What did he understand about driving that no one else understood? Can you tell us a little bit more about him as well?
Well, basically, the guy I would consider him as a genius in so many ways, and one that was never satisfied with the status quo, and and someone that you want to be to have on your side because you know that they will always want to have something do something better, something never be happy with just what you have, and you could and he and I just got on really well without even saying anything sometimes, because we understood each other. We were speaking the same language without talking to each other, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it was, for me, it was, give me a lot of confidence, to be driving for someone like that, uh, because we were making progress going on. I give you, for instance, when I first joined the team in 1976, he apologized to me. He said, I'm embarrassed, with the car that I have for you now. I said, Colin, I says, you get back in here and let's work together. We're going to make this car better. And we did. We were,
Wow.
we got three podiums that year, and we won the last race of the season in style. I was on pole in the dry, and I was one in the wet in Japan, and that's so that created obviously a lot of positive energy to go into the following season where all of a sudden, a car that was designed that eventually, became something that revolutionized the sport with the ground effects, and something that was almost, happened by accident, but it was cultivated and it changed the face of the sport.
Yeah.
So it's loved to be part of all of those aspects, just like testing tires for Firestone Racing Tire. Yeah, I knew what, when I started testing back in 1964 and where we are today, going through all of the development, performance development of the tires, and what I learned, about the dynamics of the car through, tire performance and everything else is, I wouldn't change that for anything in my life, So, like I said, going through those moments, developing things that today, uh, the development or the technical aspect of almost everything is so much there that the gains are very minimal in that respect. But
Hmm.
coming through the decades where I was coming through, there were so many things to learn yet, and it was like, oh my goodness, there was this discovery of something. There was a period there in the tire development that we were gaining so much performance out of the same car just through tires that you didn't need to design a new car for the following year almost, that type of thing. And so, it was. I My style of driving, I think, would have really been much better today than it was then because I was just flat out right from the word go. And in those days, with the fragility of the equipment vis-a-vis today, I was maybe abusing the equipment a little bit more than I should have, and I should have had more patience. But I didn't want to change my style. Today, my style would have been perfect. But at the same time, I have no regrets. I love that I experienced the development, the technical development of the race car from the tires to the aerodynamic and mechanical aspect of the cars and different engine configurations. You know,
Wow.
so, like I said, that's why, today, I don't care what they throw at me. I have a pretty good understanding of what's going on.
Yes, yes. And I guess if they put you in identical cars, one race, there's Senna, Schumacher, Verstappen, Hamilton, and you, and you're all 25 years old, identical cars, one race. Who would win?
I
You would. Obviously, obviously.
don't mind, yeah.
Obviously, yes. Is there a difference that you've noticed with your approach? Or are you more aggressive, defensive than the others, or how have you seen that you're different than them?
It's hard to say. Somebody else would have to determine that side of it. So we all have our ways, and it's a personal thing.
Absolutely. And over all your years, what defeat still bothers you?
Defeats?
Has there been a defeat that's bothered you over all these years? Or
Well, yeah, I mean, the life is not perfect, and this, what bothers me is some races that some mistakes that were made that I made, that I would like to take back. And I guess, we're all human, we make those, but then I look at the positive side. Maybe I learned something from those mistakes. So here we go. So you try to, to look at, it's got to be sunshine no matter what.
yeah, yes, yes. And you've won Daytona, Indianapolis, Formula One. Which one made you most feel like you're on top of the world?
Well, to be honest, I mean, the ultimate satisfaction in my life was actually to accomplish what was at the beginning of when I became passionate about the sport and really understanding it. It was basically Formula One that got me, that started it all for me. And to be able to, I saw my very first Formula One race at age 14 in Monza. The real dream began then. Like, my publicist that Mo was cast at that point, and no plan B, but seemed like the impossible dream. And then winning, clinching the world championship in Monza, and winning that Grand Prix. I won the 1,000 Ks also, a sports car race there, winning there was, on a personal side, was really uh, the ultimate for me, uh, not to overshadow winning, the classic events, like you say, Daytona or Indianapolis or whatever, or the national championships. I mean, for me, to, coming to United States at age 15, 1955, and 10 years later, 1965, I won the national championship at age 25, 10 years later, um, and my rookie season, So you see what I mean? I've been blessed,
Mm.
period. And I can go back and say, this is a great moment. This is a great moment. Moments that I've had with the family, racing. This is, with my son Michael, we've been on podium 15 times in an IndyCar race. And 10 times we started on the front row, and 5 times we were finished first and second. Now, in 91, 92, four members of the same family, our family, qualified for the Indy 500 in 2 years in a row, which never happened before or since. Uh, there were other events where in 1986, Pocono 500, my younger son was in a supporting event, and he won pole for that. And he won that race. My son Michael was on pole for the 500. I won the 500. The three of us won everything that weekend. You see what I mean? I look back at the sport, um, as cruel as it could have been at times, and it was even to us, because of what it did to my uh, second son, my Jeff, what it did to my brother, and so forth. But look what we got out of it, ultimately. So again, looking back, we're on the positive side, big time.
Yes, yes. And your entire family is so blessed and talented. I mean, it's just unbelievable what Michael has been able to do. Is is there anything you'd like Michael to do next, or any words of advice or wisdom to young drivers or
And like Michael just enjoys life. That's all. And that's what he's doing.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, over all these races, is there one race you'd give almost anything to go back and drive one more time?
Well, probably I would like to go back to the old Nürburgring, and that's one that I would like to win on the old Nürburgring. Of course, it's not. They're not using it anymore.
Yes, yeah. What about the old Nürburgring, like the green forest and the beautiful?
Yeah, it was just yeah, that was tremendous challenge there because I should have spent more time just really learning the track better. But I was always so busy having doing so many things that I couldn't go there 2 days ahead of time and so on and so forth. And I always felt that I left something on the table there. And
Yes.
I'm not I'm not happy about that.
I mean, do you still race? Are you still in?
No, I'm not
Well,
doing
like for fun, like on
that.
weekends.
Race. Yeah. My race always had. I
And
when I my dream even last night, my dreams I'm always at the racetrack somewhere. And all my
wow.
dreams today. I mean that's a fact.
Wow. Wow. And you dream about being in the car or the glory or the what
Yeah,
aspects?
and something and it's oh yeah and then I'm out there. I'm supposed to go out to qualify, but uh, I I don't really. There's part of the course that I'm really not sure about. Oh, it drives me crazy.
That there's a part of the course and you don't know how to attack it and there's qualifying and it's the stress and the anxiety and the excitement and the
I'm not happy the next morning.
oh goodness. And wow. You know, you're 86 years old and your name is still synonymous with speed. When people are talking about Mario Andretti, in 100 years, what do you hope they say?
Oh, I don't know that the guy lived and breathed motorsports, driving a race car. That's all. That was the biggest
Wow.
thing in my life. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And what aspect of your personality most got you through all of this? Was it your discipline? Was it your talent?
I think it was love, and absolute burning passion, to be a race driver. There's nothing else in life that could have satisfied me doing anything else. Not going to the moon, nothing like that over what I've been able to do, and totally, accomplished more than I ever deserved,
Hmm.
and be able to, by the grace of God, live through it.
Yes, yes. And if you could sit down with your younger self, 19 years old, before the professional race or even earlier, and tell him one thing, what would you tell him?
Don't change.
Don't change. Wow. Okay. You had that fire in you from the very beginning. So inspiring. And I want to be respectful of your time. Knowing our audience is full of young, ambitious, early career professionals, what advice would you have for the next generation?
Go for your dreams. No question. I mean, this is something that I detest mediocrity. You know why?
Hmm.
It's convenient. I just love people that have something, a goal, have a goal, an ambitious goal.
Yes.
Because when you achieve it, you're going to be happy. And there's nothing more rewarding than that in life.
Go for the absolute hardest. Have a North Star.
Yes. Reach
Yes.
the stars.
Reach for the stars. Wow. What
Don't Nashville.
Yes, yes. And your whole career has just been guided by this incredible passion and love for motorsport. And I hope that this lights the fire in a lot of our audience members who maybe not know what they want for a career, haven't.
Follow your dreams. Follow
Well,
your dreams.
yes, yes. Wow. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for your time, and all of your passion and insights. And this has just been an incredible interview. Thank you so much. Such a unique opportunity.
My pleasure, Cameron.
Yes.
All the very best to you.
Thank you very much. And you are the number one idol. So
Thank you.
wonderful. This has been Cutting to the Case, and this is Cameron Sabet with Mario Andretti, and we're signing off. Thank you.